Hey cousins, it's Robin back with another episode of the Sunday Dinner Podcast. Today we have a really special treat for you. One of those cousins at the dinner who has a lot of knowledge, who's really smart, who's really successful, who is a leader, someone I've grown to really respect as a friend, who's a really powerful person in the community, but more so, just a good brother, right? So good cousin, good conversation today. I'm joined by my good friend, Edwin Hubbard Jr. So I'm going to allow you to just introduce yourself and tell the people who you are, and then we're going to dive right into this Sunday dinner conversation.
All right. Edwin Hubbard Jr. In my day job, I serve as the executive director of the Cleveland NAACP. But I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a coach, I'm a community member. I'm just someone who cares about Black culture and really wants to move it forward.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up.
So I grew up in Bedford Heights.
Okay.
Graduated from Bedford High School.
Bearcats?
Bearcats,
Okay.
definitely a Bearcat. And I graduated from Cleveland State University as well.
Nice. So you are hometown hero.
Born and raised.
Hometown hero. So tell me about maybe one of your early memories of Sunday dinner.
So, growing up with my parents, I had both of my parents and a younger brother who I grew up with. And Sunday dinner was mandatory, right? I mean, no matter what you did during the week, we didn't really live in the age of fast food so much. It was on Sundays, you came to the dinner table, you sat, and this was a place where we kind of talked about the week that passed, but then also kind of set the stage for the week to come, right? And so what we had planned for the upcoming week, what we wanted to accomplish in the week, what was going on in our family, what was happening in the community,
right.
Just kind of like everything. And this was before the age of cell phones, so you wasn't worried about somebody having a cell phone at the table. This was just real family conversation with a home cooked meal a meal my mom would prepare.
Yes, that's the part. So, husband, father, leader in the community. How did you get there?
So I kind of feel like it's always been a part of me. If we want to talk about like the leadership route of it, I would tell you I'm a first generation college graduate. But what I got from my parents was work ethic. And so I knew what it was like to be a provider from early on because I saw that from my father and my mother. But my father always set the tone on you go to work, you take care of your business, you provide for your family. This is your job. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. Community it's always been ingrained in me because I've always believed in being a part of the community and helping other people.
Yeah.
I just always kind of felt different in that way. And even in my experiences in college where I got to work with the Children's Defense Fund and so many other cool organizations, I've always been inclined by nonprofit and wanting to make a difference in the lives of children and people in the community.
Yeah, so one thing that I've been thinking a lot about is like living in America. There are rules to living in America. There always have been rules, right? So when we go back to, after slavery, you had all the laws that were enacted to keep us essentially enslaved. Then you had like Jim Crow era. Then you had just, that leftover evil, so to speak, right? So where it's a fixed fight, where it's never going to be fair for us. How do we get our people to really start to pay attention to the rules and like how to play? Because we already know it's not fair, and we already know it can go. We were talking about this football player that was just arrested. This Tyreek Hill, right? So, not doing anything wrong, essentially. Violating a little rule, whatever he did, speeding or whatever. But to have that reaction from law enforcement. How do we learn these rules? How do we play this game? Because it seems like we're gonna have to keep playing it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's you got to always be aware of the life that you want to live, right? And understanding what comes along with the life that you want to live. So if you are to become an affluent person and to move into an affluent community, you understand that there are rules in that community. There may be a homeowners association. So if you haven't lived in a community where there's a homeowner association, the homeowner association is basically giving you the guidelines and the rules that are expected of the people who live within that community, even if you are a person that owns your house. Right. And society is just no different, right? If you are in a boardroom, there's boardroom etiquette.
Right.
If you are in a production studio, there's production studio etiquette. If you are a professional basketball player, football player, any type of professional, there's a certain type of etiquette in the way that you have to conduct yourself in order to successfully navigate those spaces. In a situation like Tyreek Hill, I think what it costs it gives a clear example that we're different. We're different, and we always have to be aware of it. And I saw some interesting things that Tyreek said as that went out. So my understanding is that it was a moving violation, and a policeman approached him and was hostile with him and decided to cuff him and put him on the ground. And to me, I thought the fact that he was even cuffed for a movement violation is insane. Because, I mean, if it's a movement violation, it doesn't warrant jail time or anything. You get his license plate numbers, you send a ticket to his house. He's an athlete. He'll take care of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what reason that the officer felt so provoked that he had to put Tyreek Hill on the ground. Yeah. And Tyreek said it himself, like, my mother raised me the right way. Wasn't confrontational. I wasn't arguing with the police officer, and also made the statement, if I didn't have maybe the class and status that I had, what would have happened to me as a black man? So he was very much aware of the rules and things that were happening around him. But that's also a part of his lifestyle. For those of us who don't live on the same level and scale,
not in the NFL,
right?
So for our cousins who aren't in the NFL,
if you're not on that same level, I still think that you have to think about the alignment of where your lifestyle, right? And all of us kind of know it to a degree, right? I mean, how many black people do we know that says, like, you can't go to a certain side of town?
Yes.
If you name off a certain side of town, they might say, that's a racist side of town. And if they were to go to that side of town, they would say, you better slow down, you better drive this way, you better act this way, because they know the societal rules that exist in those places in order for them to make it back where they're from safely. Yeah. I think that those exist everywhere. Yeah. Even when it's not even just being around others, it's even about being around people like us, right? There are rules to every community within this city.
And so this thing about, like, I can just be however I want to be, say what I want to say, right? I just also recently been thinking about this. You can do what you want to do, but there are going to be consequences. Mm-hmm. And that's the part where I feel like we need to have more conversations with our family, with our friends, with our chosen family, with our blood family, whatever. It's like about making choices. Because even good choices have consequences, right?
Absolutely.
Consequences are just a result of the action, right? Good or bad. So talk about your family. You have 2 boys, right? How old are they?
I have a 9-year-old who's in the 4th grade, and I have a 5-year-old who's in kindergarten.
So you're raising black boys, mm-hmm. Black father, provider. There's all sorts of conversation going on about that now, like what the family unit mm-hmm. looks like. And who's playing what role, right? Mm-hmm. But you're raising 2 black boys. What is important for them to know about you and about growing into becoming black men? Stability.
I'm traditional. I'm very fortunate to say that I grew up with both of my parents. Mm-hmm. So I had role models, but I'm also very different because I'm a first-generation college graduate, and I've experienced life in a different way that maybe my parents don't necessarily know because of the rooms that I've been a part of, right? And so that's different. That's a whole thing in itself. I didn't learn how to become a professional until after I graduated from college. Ain't no rule book for that. Right. Somebody had to help me navigate those spaces and teach me how to get there. And so that's what I bring for my children. What is it that you ultimately want to become? And I don't put an emphasis on what exactly each of my boys should become. I just want them to be exceptional. So I always teach them that you are exceptional. Along with comes with being exceptional comes exceptional work ethic, and exceptional awareness, and understanding how to navigate those spaces. So I'll give you even a story about my 4th grader. He just got to 4th grade, and this is the first year of his school that they're doing student government. And if you were to ask him, his name is Edwin III, you were to ask him what he wanted to be, he'll give you a couple of different answers. He'll say, I want to be an NBA player one day, and I want to be in the MLB, and then I want to be a businessman like my dad, maybe even run the NAACP, is what my oldest son would say, right?
I love that.
So, and I'm big on telling my children, like, although that these are things that you say and what you want to become, what are the actions and work ethic that has to come along with it? I don't want you just to be somebody who can give a good soundbite. I want you to be somebody who can actually deliver. So we were in school and I'm like, student government is coming. Are you gonna, apply to be a part of student government? And he was like, nah, I don't really want to do that, Dad. I just want to be a regular kid. And I got offended.
Okay.
And I got offended because I'm like, my kid is very specific. If he loves what he loves, right? He loves Jordans. He loves basketball. He loves watching these athletes. He loves to dress like that. He already, even at fourth grade, knows the kind of clothes and things that he wants to wear.
His identity is forming. He's
right.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
you want to be an NBA player, and he goes to Cavs game, and he gets to experience Guardians games and things of that nature, right? So like, this is the lifestyle you desire, and these are the people you tell me you're going to become as somebody exceptional. But you're not acting like you're exceptional right now because you're telling me you just want to be a regular kid. Because somebody has to vote for you, and that might make you nervous. So what I have to explain to him, like, so if you telling me you just want to be average, you just want to be regular, should I be regular as a parent?
Oh.
So should I be regular in how I provide for you?
Okay.
As a parent, I'm responsible for keeping a roof over your head and food on the table and clothes on your back. Does not denote what type of clothes, what type of food, and what type of things that I need to keep for you, right? All of these luxury experiences and things that you're interested in are exceptional. They're not for regular.
Right.
And so if you want to be regular, I could do regular things. And he was like, nah, I don't want that. I want to be regular. I don't want to be in a position where people have to vote for me. What if they don't vote for me? I said, then you tried the best thing you could.
Right.
And if they didn't vote for you, oh, well.
Right.
You took an opportunity, but don't let it be because you didn't even try.
Yeah.
I just want you to take a shot.
When I was growing up, my mom would always say, you have a test. Well, how'd you do on the test? And I would always say, oh, I don't know. She said, yes, you do. You know how you prepared. And did you do your best? That's all I require of you. That's all I ask of you is, did you do your best? Yeah. So, grooming our kids to just do their best, right? It's a different kind of pressure, right? You have those parents who are like, oh, you got to bring straight A's to the house, or you have to, you hear of different cultures. But for us, it's like, do your best. But getting to what your best is at 9 years old, that's some good parenting right there.
Just max out. That's what I say. I say to him, just max out. I just want, and the same thing for my 5-year-old. Just max out. Yeah. You don't have to win, but leave it all on the table. If you tell me you went to school and you did the absolute best that you could, and you didn't get it, I'm not mad.
And I love that because what we also know is we have to reshape this narrative of you got to be twice as good, twice as fast, twice as hard, all these other things in favor of allowing our kids to experiment, allowing our kids to know what it feels like to fail. Like, it's okay because there's a lesson in it. And I think too often we're, a lot of us are still kind of carrying that heavy load of the past. So this sort of new way of saying, I love that. Like, leave it all on the table. Leave it all on the floor.
You can fail.
You can fail.
But you better try.
But you better try. Nothing beats a failure but a try.
Right.
Right?
Did you even try?
Right. Now, that's awesome. I love that. So when we think about what we need to do right now in this country, we're having this conversation. What do we need to be focused on? Particularly as Black people, right?
I think we have to be focused on what's important. And I think that that's a loaded question in the way of what's really important.
Yes.
Do we know what's really important?
Yes.
Are we having those conversations at the dinner table? I mean, we used to, when I was a kid, we would know, the news and what was happening on current events. But we didn't, we knew the issues at stake. And now I think this generation is a little bit different. Because what's important to you, and how do you get to what's important to you? How do you navigate to the spaces and the places that are really important to you? And if you don't think that legislation and policy is important, then what is important? Yeah. So I have conversations every single day about, are you registered to vote? Are you planning to vote? Do you know the issues? I'm not telling you who to vote for. I won't tell you that I don't care who you vote for, because inside I do, but I would never try to tell you to make a decision.
Right, that's right.
I just want you to know, do you know why you will or won't vote for whatever candidate? And do you know, outside of the two candidates that's at the top, which are the president of the United States, do you know that your local governor, state representative, council people, mayors, and local elected officials have more power over the distribution of resources in your life than the president of the United States?
That goes back to like knowing the rules. It's like we learn it in school, but we never really get to apply it. So I think there's this space where like you learn it, you take a test, and then click delete, right? So when we think about telling people to be civically engaged, to just like be aware at the very local level, like who's your council person, right? Now I tell you, my mama, she lived in the house for 48 years. I guess she's been in her house for 48, 49 years. And the house next door to her, the people moved out. And there was this window open. She was like, I'm calling my council person. Now, would the average person, younger person, think to do that? But she's like, no, that's the person that's closest to me who has some power. Basically, I'm calling City Hall and I'm going to talk to the person that controls this little neighborhood, right? And they came out and they boarded up the window, right? So how do we get younger folks to just be active? I mean, again, my daughter, 23, she is so energized by issues that affect her as a young woman and the fact that we're going to have the first woman president. Shout out episode again. I'm shouting out Sora Kamala Harris for president. But how do we get this? Because you're just one person. You're going to schools, you're having these fireside chats, you're meeting with the bros, you're doing all this. But how do we get this really ramped up so that it's not the exception? Or when we have a black person running for an office, or how do we make people understand that this is how you play the game?
I think it's a part of an even bigger conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I always talk about what's at stake, but you even touched on something that's even the systemic thing of it, right? Like your mother who's a homeowner, like that's a asterisk right there, homeowner, right?
Yes.
If you're a homeowner, you feel like you own something. So because you do own something. And so if things are not the way you desire them to be, you holding somebody accountable because you pay taxes.
That's right.
And you pay to live in this space and you desire to look a certain way. You feel like you have the ability to demand something. Well, we live in a generation where a lot of young people are not homeowners. We're renting. And a lot of times when they're renting, they don't even feel like they own anything. They don't even feel like they have place.
Yeah.
So like, I think the first part of that question is, where do you belong?
Where do you belong? So that's question number one.
And if you don't feel like you belong somewhere, how do you get to a place where you can feel like you belong? What has to happen in order for you to feel like you belong?
Yes. That's a powerful way to look at goals. That's a powerful way to sort of reframe. And this is for our younger cousins. This is for anybody, right? So if you are at this place of like stuck, like you want more from life, it's like, where do I want to be? Mm-hmm. Where do I want to belong? Right? And then you map out the steps to get there.
What is the standard of life that you desire?
What is the standard of life that you desire? Just watched this movie over the weekend called The Forge. It's a really good movie if you're into just good. It's a good movie. It's a Christian-based movie, but the principles are just really good. And at one point, he kind of asked this young man some similar questions like, what type of man do you want to be? And just like kind of what you said, what is the standard of life you want to have? Because part of the reason why I started this podcast is because I just realized people weren't having Sunday dinner. And it's like one of my all-time favorite things. I could have Sunday dinner every Sunday, right? And I just remember growing up how important those side conversations were. That's where you got the information. Hey, cousin Edwin, I really want to get involved in politics. Where would I start, right? But we're not having Sunday dinner, so I don't see you 2 or 3 Sundays out the year to ask you that, right? So I'm like, we gotta figure out a way to get people thinking about exactly what you said, the standard of life that you want to have. And it's so important to me because I want our people to thrive and be well and
And I think we got to keep it simple.
Be better.
Sunday dinners help you learn how to read the room.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Learn how to read the room. And just get that quiet guidance. Sometimes the out loud guidance, but it's so important that we keep having these conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I appreciate you for taking time out of your really, really busy schedule. So before I let you go, on your Sunday dinner plate, top 3 things you have to have.
I think it could depend on the season, but like you gotta have a vegetable, maybe some good collard greens.
Collard greens for the win.
It's
Okay.
always a win, and my family I think has a track record of making really good macaroni and cheese. So macaroni and cheese is definitely
Everybody's
a win.
family
And
can
my
get
my
macaroni
oldest,
and cheese.
he loves macaroni and cheese. And then maybe it can either be fried chicken or some kind of beef or even fish.
Okay.
So one of the three, I'm not tied to either of the three, but one of those three.
But on your plate is some type of meat or fish, collard greens, and you definitely gotta have that mac. Definitely gotta have that mac. Well, I hope you'll come and we can do this again. This will be part one of our conversation of how we get people thinking about the standard of life that they want to have. I love how you frame that, and I know our viewers will appreciate that. Food for thought.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to have a conversation.
Thank you, Edwin. All right, cousins, another episode in the books. We'll see you next time. Sunday Dinner Podcast.